Okay, so let's start off with an intro then.
Hi, I'm Peter Paddeley. I'm Director of Sales and Client Solutions at SnapOn Software. I've been working in the software and tech space, primarily in Microsoft, for, despite my young looks, 20 years. Initially from a consultancy perspective, and then I've moved more into product over the last few years.
What does it take for a business to stay truly future ready in today's tech-driven environment?
I would say being on top of your data. Everything we're doing nowadays is dependent on our data, whether that enable hybrid working, enable AI, or any other solution which we're trying to do. But so many organizations, their data is not regularly archived, reviewed, secured correctly. So keeping on top of your data, getting control of your data is critical to do anything in the tech space.
Love it. What's your boldest prediction for the future of your industry?
I think we will see some major acquisitions or consolidations in the space. That might be by the likes of existing players like Microsoft and Oracle. It might even be with outsiders who are more in the consumer space like Apple and Meta coming in and acquiring significant players in the space. So that's what I think is going to be the big change over the next couple of years.
What trends or shifts in the tech services space do you think leaders are still underestimating?
I think the biggest trend and thing which leaders are underestimating is the amount of legacy which they've got. So many customers I speak to still use on-premises solutions. They've got historical environments, even in the cloud, which need migrating. And you can't adopt all of the latest technologies while you're still carrying that legacy and also carrying that inherent security risk with those technologies.
What are the 3 things you recommend your clients to consider when evaluating their SaaS purchases?
I think firstly, assess the organization you're looking to work with. So who are they? What's their geographical spread? What's the team which actually supports that SaaS product? Secondly is thinking about what their roadmap is. So what's their plan? You're not just buying a SaaS product for now, you're buying a SaaS product for the longer term, and you're going to get hopefully regular updates. So consider that. And the third thing is it might sound really obvious, is what are you actually trying to solve with that SaaS product? So rather than just buying a SaaS product, what are the use cases you are trying to solve now? Because that will dictate the right product for you.
What's something about leading in tech that no one tells you?
People. That it's so much about people. It's not about technology. And as a leader in technology, you need to spend so much time supporting, growing, leading your people for it to be successful. So I think the most important thing is how you nurture and grow your people.
How do you decide whether to recommend SharePoint, Teams, or Power Apps tools based on a client's size, industry, or maturity?
I don't think size or industry necessarily dictates what tool to recommend. It's really about the organization's maturity and the people which they have working for them. Something like Power Apps is much more technically complex and needs the right sort of people in place to be able to successfully implement it. Teams is perhaps the easiest because it's what people are most familiar with. SharePoint offers you a lot of flexibility, but you perhaps need to have already invested in SharePoint to make it successful. So it's really dependent on where you are as an organization. Have you already invested in these tools or not? And what are the right people you've got within your business?
What's your strategy for helping clients avoid over-engineering Microsoft solutions as they scale?
Focus on requirements. Always focus on the user requirements. So endless, constant engagement with your users to understand what it is they want. That's our modern world we're working with. We're user driven. So understand what they want and build a solution for them. Don't just continually build things. Focus on your users.
How do SnapOn software products work with Microsoft products to help clients take full advantage of their environment, their processes, etc.?
Well, like our name says, we snap on to Microsoft technologies. So we're built using their frameworks, their APIs, so we can easily work with those tools. It's not something which is sitting outside differently. It's built on top of Microsoft technologies. Secondly, it's not just about the technology. So we have a whole ecosystem which supports our customers to make them successful. That's from our customer success team, who get really detailed in understanding requirements and helping customers get the best out of our products, to our software development and engineering teams, who are continually driving innovation, and we share that as part of our public roadmap.
What sets SnapOn Software's project delivery model apart from larger enterprise consultancies?
I think it's very much about people. I talk about people a lot, but I think it's really key. We look at bringing in people to our customer success and delivery teams who are focused on really understanding customers' requirements and delivery, and they have that skill first and foremost and are passionate about our customer success. The technical skill comes later, and that's very much learnable. So by having a people-focused, customer success and outcome-focused approach, that's where we believe we set ourselves apart from larger consultancies, which are either too technical or very faceless with their customers.
How do you manage dependencies between Microsoft tools like Power Automate, Azure, or Dynamics, and external third-party platforms?
I think the key thing is to look at the frameworks and making sure that the third-party tools leverage the right frameworks and APIs which Microsoft make available. Because by following that model, then you know that firstly, integration is going to stay and work, and you're not going to be affected by something which Microsoft changes. And secondly, that you know you're operating within a secure environment. So the security and boundaries which you put in place using Azure will then apply to these third-party products as well.
When would you recommend SnapOn products versus Microsoft native products?
I don't think it's about recommending one or the other. I believe firmly that they go hand in hand. So one of our partners actually says, you can't do Teams without our products. And it's very much the same with all of our products, all of the Microsoft platforms. They go hand in hand. So you are using Microsoft technologies like SharePoint, Teams to collaborate and manage your information. But the SnapOn products make that happen in a productive, engaging way with your users, and also in a secure manner.
How do you communicate trade-offs like speed versus depth of configuration in a way that preserves transparency and builds trust?
I think it's, again, a real focus on what the requirements are. What's the problem the organization's trying to solve, whether that's delivering a certain form or ensuring that data needs to be archived and clean up your environment. You focus on that first, and you can deliver and achieve those immediate aims without trying to configure every single scenario using our products. Organizations can take months or years to adopt the whole feature set. That's not a bad thing. That's about as they mature into the Microsoft ecosystem, our products can support them during their whole journey.
What frameworks or checkpoints do you use to maintain trust during long-term Microsoft implementations, especially during phase transitions or evolving scopes?
So we make sure our customer success managers or delivery managers for an individual project or for a customer are a key point of contact, a point of continuity throughout the delivery to that customer. They'll be involved in the early stages, during trials or even demonstrations to the customer. They'll guide them through the onboarding initially, but also at regular checkpoints throughout their usage of the product. That point of continuity ensures strong relationships, but also ongoing technical knowledge and advice, which makes sure the customer gets the best outcome.
What separates SnapOn as a product or implementation partner from a security standpoint specifically?
So we take security incredibly seriously. Security is intrinsic to everything we do in terms of how we train our staff, how we manage our environment, which we work with, how we do secure development, how we do our release process. It's essential to everything we do. We have clearly defined policies and processes. Every aspect is covered, and we also follow clear industry standards and frameworks. We're ISO 27001 certified, and we're regularly audited both internally and externally.
How do you see Microsoft Copilot and other AI tools changing how users interact with business systems over the next 2 to 3 years?
I mean, I think we've already seen a lot of the change already. I think people are using agents, and people we don't even think would ever consider using agents, quite heavily in terms of simple day-to-day activities, in terms of scheduling appointments, reviewing and drafting content as well. I think the bigger change will be how those AI agents interact with our business systems like our ERP or CRM systems and allow us to intelligently interrogate them and use that data. And then moving forwards, be even more prompt based so it can actually, in advance of you asking for something, guiding you that you need to take action based on something.
With Microsoft's push towards low-code tools like Power Platform, how should companies rethink the way they build or extend their internal systems?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. If you look at what Microsoft have done on the low code journey, they've changed themselves. So initially it was very user-led, citizen developer building out apps in their world because they understood those use cases. Microsoft are now slightly changing direction and saying, yes, that's still a use case, but it needs to be done in a controlled and managed way. So I think the biggest change for organizations is how do we deliver low code development, quick, rapid response to user requirements, but in a professional, secure methodology, which we would do our development normally.
Can you share an example of a project where over customizing a Microsoft solution created unnecessary complexity and how you would approach it differently now?
There are many, and honestly, I have to be a bit careful not to share individual customer details. But generally, the biggest problem where systems have been overcomplicated, whether that's on the Power Platform, Dynamics, or SharePoint, is the level of technical debt. People lose track of what's been customized. People leave organizations, and that knowledge of the extent of the customization goes. And what that actually does is become a blocker for change. It's really difficult to introduce new functionality into a heavily customized environment because people don't actually know what the impact will be. And so organizations either get stuck with this legacy system or they face a complete re-implementation or migration to another platform because there's just too much technical complexity and debt to be able to manage effectively.
From your experience, what's the most overlooked risk during Microsoft data migrations, and how do you proactively mitigate it?
User adoption. It's simple. Data migrations you can plan for, there's lots of great tools for, there's lots of great ways to manage a migration. The thing everyone misses is the user impact and the user adoption. If you're moving from an on-premises environment, network drives, or another system, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Teams can be very different for people. People who have worked a certain way in a company for 15, 20 years or more, and suddenly they're faced with something completely new and different. So don't assume users will be able to use it straight away. Understand your user base, understand their different needs, and put together a tailored user adoption plan.
With upcoming end-of-life support for Microsoft on-prem products, how would you recommend organizations plan and get ahead of this?
Yeah, so if people aren't aware, both SharePoint 2016 and SharePoint 2019 are going to end of life in July 2026. What that means is there'll be no form of support available for those products anymore. And actually, a lot of organizations are still using those platforms, maybe in a small way in combination with what they've already migrated to online. You need to start planning now. A migration, even if it's just migrating a few sites, can take months or longer to plan for. So you need to work out and assess what your state is, what is being used, and what the migration path is for those use cases, scenarios to the cloud or even to SharePoint Subscription Edition.
How can SnapOn Software products help customers who are on legacy platforms like InfoPath?
Yeah, so InfoPath is an interesting one because Microsoft announced its retirement close to 10 years ago. But organizations continue to use InfoPath forms. They've implemented quite complex scenarios with those InfoPath forms. Again, you need to start planning for the migration. And our Forms product is a great alternative to InfoPath. It works with both SharePoint Subscription Edition and SharePoint Online, and it has many of the features and capabilities very similar to InfoPath, like cascading lookups, repeating rows, and a lot of other logic and rules. So we can definitely help you both with our products and our services to support replacement of your InfoPath forms.